Shalom, family. It's good to see everyone here. I hope everybody is having a wonderful day. We're going to talk about something that happened in federal court where a judge is granting illegals the right to exercise Second Amendment, and they can now carry a gun. And you know the most insulting thing, y'all, about this whole thing? Number one, they're not citizens. Number two, I bet every dime in my wallet, Karen, Darren, and the police are not going to react to them having guns like they do us. You know how it is when it's a black man with a gun. They got a gun. They got a gun, right? How much you want to bet? They're not going to react that same way with these illegals. Now, think about this, y'all. They are committing all kinds of crimes without a gun. Their asses are going to go tenfold when they get guns in their hands, which this judge said they're allowed to have. It's going to go off the charts. They came off of those buses committing crimes. Now you're saying they have the right to carry a weapon in a country they technically don't belong in? You know, look, they're already robbing women, primarily women, on the streets in New York of their cell phones because they're trying to steal your Apple Pay and use up your credit card and debit card that you have stored on there. Now, can you imagine them pulling up on them scooters and on those mopeds and put a gun in your face and demand your phone? Now, there was a story that came out last week. One of those illegals tried to snatch a black woman's purse in New York. She was able to fight the guy off, and he was not able to get her purse. But nobody should have to go through that. Now that you're saying they can carry a gun, that same guy could go to that woman and now put a gun up in her face because you said they got the right to have those guns. So, you know what I would say for us to make sure we go out with our protection too, because it's about to get ugly up in here. These illegals are already running amok and doing all kinds of stuff without a gun. Now you're going to put one in their hand. So let me show you the judge before I even go further that's responsible for putting the guns in illegals' hands. So let me share my screen with you because I want you to see this person. I want you to see them. Okay, let me just tell you this. This is an Obama appointed federal judge. This is an Obama appointed federal judge that made this ruling. Ladies and gentlemen, you are looking at U.S. District Judge Sharon Johnson Coleman. And she made this ruling this past Friday to say that illegals also have a constitutional right to have guns. This is what she said. So you had to see her. So let's get into this story. Now, this all came about an illegal that had a gun. So let's get into this story. I hope everybody can see the screen. You should be able to see Judge Coleman here on the screen. Mm, mm, mm. Yeah, ain't this something? All right, y'all. Thank you. Thank you for the ones. So, judge rules illegal migrants have gun rights protected by Second Amendment. She said these illegal immigrants got gun rights in a country they illegally entered into. So you can illegally enter into America and you can get a gun and you would still be considered legal in doing that, according to what she's saying. So, a federal judge in Illinois, of all places, with all the problems going on with these migrants in Chicago, this is an Illinois judge, has found that the Constitution protects the gun rights of non citizens who entered the United States illegally. U.S. District Judge Sharon Johnson Coleman on Friday ruled that a federal prohibition on illegal immigrants owning firearms is unconstitutional as applied to defendant. Now, this is a defendant that was arrested and they had a firearm. Heriberto Carbajal Flores. The court found that while the federal ban was facially constitutional, there is no historical tradition of firearm regulation that permits the government to deprive a non citizen who has never been convicted of a violent crime from exercising his Second Amendment rights. This is what she said. This was her ruling. The non citizen possession statute violates the Second Amendment as applied to Cabajal Flores, the judge wrote. Thus, the court grants Cabajal Flores' motion to dismiss. Coleman, a president, Obama appointee, cited the landmark Supreme Court decision in New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin in 2022, which established a new standard to determine whether a law violates the Second Amendment. Since Bruin, a multitude of federal and state gun control measures have been challenged in court with mixed results. Wow. In this case, the court considered whether people who entered the country illegally can be banned from owning firearms. Cabajal Flores is an illegal immigrant who on June 1st of 2020 was found to be in possession of a handgun in a little village neighborhood of Chicago. He was subsequently charged with violating a federal law that prohibits any non citizen who is not legally authorized to be in the United States from possessing or affecting commerce any firearm or ammunition, or to receive any firearm or ammunition which has been shipped or transported in interstate or foreign commerce. In April of 2022's decision, Coleman denied Cabajal Flores' first motion to dismiss his indictment, finding that the ban was constitutional. However, Cabajal Flores asked the court to reconsider the ruling following the Supreme Court's decision in Bruin and appellate decisions in the Third and Seventh Circuits that considered whether people convicted of nonviolent crimes can be prohibited from possessing firearms. Upon review, Coleman concluded that Cabajal Flores illegally presented status was not sufficient to deny him Second Amendment rights. The judge said the plain text of the Constitution it protects firearms possession by undocumented persons. So this person can enter the country, y'all, give you a fake name, a fake identity. You don't have nothing on this person, and they can still legally carry a gun in America. That's what this ruling is saying. That's what they're saying. This person could be entering the country as a teen and just lie and say they're an adult just to get a gun. There's all kinds of things that could happen. You may have somebody coming in here that got a criminal record in South and Central America, but because they're giving you all this fake information, you may not catch on to it. And that person may possess a gun. I'm just saying. Cabral Flores has never been convicted of a felony, a violent crime, and or a crime involving the use of a weapon. Now, is this person's real name? You said they were an illegal immigrant. You don't even know if they're making the name up. I mean, even the police are telling you they know when they arrest these illegals, they're not even getting a legitimate name. So if you don't have their real name, you don't know whether they committed a felony or not. So anyway, even in the present case, Cabral Flores contends that he received and used a handgun solely for self-protection and protection of property during a time of documented civil unrest in the spring of 2020, the judge wrote. Well, why don't they defend themselves in their own countries? You gonna come somewhere else illegally and defend yourself where you really don't belong? Additionally, pretrial service has confirmed that Cabral Flores has consistently adhered to and fulfilled all the stipulated conditions of his release, is gainfully employed, and has no new arrests or outstanding warrants. You know what? You want to hear something funny, y'all? Even the NYPD said they'll arrest the same person, and every time they arrest them, the same person gives them all kinds of different names. They'll have like 4 or 5 different names on the same person. The court determined that because there is insufficient evidence to suggest Cabral Flores is a danger to society, there is no historical analog that would permit the federal government to deny him his gun rights. So the court finds that Cabral Flores' criminal record contains no improper use of a weapon, as well as the nonviolent circumstances of his arrest do not support a finding that he possess a risk to the public safety, such as he cannot be trusted to use a weapon responsibly, and he should be deprived of his Second Amendment right to bear arms in self defense, Coleman wrote. This is what this Obama appointed judge is saying. Thus, the court finds that, as applied to Cabral Hall Flores, Section 922 is unconstitutional. The ruling has divided gun right activists, with some arguing that non-citizens should not have rights to protect, protected by the Constitution. Well, maybe not, but some bubblehead wrote it in there. She's finding this directly in the Constitution. So one of you high IQ forefathers, your forefathers put that in there. Probably because their butts were here illegally. That's why they put it in there. They knew they're illegal in this country and still are illegal in the country. So, anyway, Eric Pratt, Senior Vice President of Gun Owners of America, told Fox News Digital his group has historically recognized the dangers unchecked illegal immigrants present, chiefly of which is a serious potential to swing the balance of power into the hands of anti-gun politicians. And let me tell you something, y'all. They said there's over 7 million, possibly 8 million of these illegals that came into the country since Joe Biden took office. Can you imagine if they formed an army or got together in large numbers and tried to go on a rampage in this country with guns? I'm just saying, that is a scenario that can't be ignored. You're letting millions and millions of them in here. Now that you're saying they can arm themselves, how do you know they're not going to plan something? And you know what I mean? Never mind. These people, I tell you what, if you've got a high IQ, we already know you're dangerous. Pratt reiterated GOA does not support amnesty for illegal immigrants. In this underlying ruling, the Second Amendment community undoubtedly has mixed feelings because while illegal aliens are most certainly not part of the people, everyone has a God given right to defend themselves against violent acts like rape and murder, he said. Of course, the courts wouldn't have to decide this question if Joe Biden and the Democratic Party would simply secure our borders. Actually, that is a conversation that is irrelevant at this point because they're already here. Even if you secure the border, you already let millions in. They're already here, and the ones on this soil now can officially get guns because of a judge is this judge right here, Judge Coleman's ruling. You know, New York NYPD is already talking about they have a fear that the south of the border gangs are already merging up there. And they believe it's already happened. The gangs that have come in from Venezuela, the gangs already here in the country, they have already merged. And now you're saying openly they can have guns and they're covered under the Second Amendment. And these folks don't want us to have guns. Look at what happened to Orlando Castile, Philando Castile. Look at what happens when the cops come up to you and you got it, they got a gun. They got a gun. That's how they react when a black man or woman have a gun. They start screaming and hollering and hooping and hollering. But like I said, when they stop one of them and they got a gun, I bet you they won't overreact like that. I bet you they won't. I bet you they won't, even if they find the gun. They're not going to react the way they do when a black man or woman got a gun. I mean, this is unbelievable, y'all, but this just happened this past Friday, just days ago. I remember when I came on YouTube, there was a video of a black man that was buying a gun, and it was a white gun owner. He owned the shop. Do you know he refused to sell guns to this black man because he was black? He didn't have nothing in his background that was violent. He had no police record, but because he was a black man trying to buy a gun, this video was on YouTube. That's where I saw it. Because he was a black man trying to buy a gun, this white gun owner would not let him buy. He wouldn't sell to him. He said he refused to sell to him. And I remember the video. He was there and he was with, I don't know if it was a friend or family member, but there was another black man with him. And this white gun shop owner straight up said he refused to sell to him because he was black. And that video was out on YouTube years ago. It was out on YouTube, and people were saying, well, he has the right to take that position. He has oh, really? Oh, really? Let's see if that same gun owner or somebody like him, when those illegals will come in there to buy a gun, if he will react the same way. I bet every dime in my wallet they won't. They'll just gladly sell the gun to these illegals. They'll gladly do it. Dark skinned brother, you said that happened to you too? That happened to me once, and I knew the guy was racist. Okay. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. And I know that man was not the only one that had that experience. I knew it had to be other people. And see, dark skinned brother just confirmed it. These folks will look at us and say you look suspicious. But I bet you these illegals walking around here with guns, that ain't gonna look suspicious to them at all. You just wait and see. Watch how they're already very different with them. We already openly see it. Hmm. Yeah, y'all remember this name because this is the one that said, they can illegal immigrants can carry guns in America. This is Judge Sharon Johnson Coleman. Remember that name? An Obama appointed judge, federal judge, Obama administration. So the Democrats, this is what they're doing. So, everybody, I'm going to let you go. I thank each and every one of you for being here. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's going to be far more crazy things coming out. This is far from the last thing. It's going to be much more. You can best believe that. I'm not against anybody carrying a gun, but we darn sure should be carrying one. And we don't want any backlash from this government, from them folks, or anyone else when we are the ones carrying guns. We don't want to hear nothing from you. So if all of y'all are silent about this, when it comes time and we want to carry guns in big numbers or whatever we want to do, we don't want to hear from you. We don't want to hear from none of you. So, y'all, please enjoy your day and be on the lookout for my upcoming videos. Shalom, family.